Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third and final episode of microwebinar series on AI in networking, engineering and operations, and data integrity. I'm your host, Dave Rubenstein, editor-in-chief of IT Ops Times. If you missed the previous two episodes, which are available on the IT Ops Times website in our Learning Center, the series began with a look at the impact of AI on network engineering and operations. And episode 2, we examined ways to build an AI roadmap for network and operations. In today's session, we'll be discussing data integrity in the AI era. And leading the session is Charlcye Mitchell. She's the Senior Technical Marketing Engineer at network observability company Kentik. So Charlcye, I'm gonna duck out and let you take it away.
Thank you, David. All right. Hey, guys, I'm excited to be here with you today at Kentik, which, as David mentioned, is a network observability company. We collect so much amazing, rich data, all of these different types of telemetry for any network, and we can also integrate with any tool. Anytime you have such a vast pool of data, it's a great opportunity to use generative AI to make sense of all of that data and drive really cool, valuable insights, which is what we have done with our Kentik AI. And I'm going to talk to you today about how you can do this with all of the data inside of your organization as well. Data integrity is a journey. It's a really fun journey, but it is a journey. So I'm going to talk to you about these 4 stops along the way: understanding the data that you have, making sure that that data is good for training models, making sure that those models are safe and secure for deployment, and then making sure that your models continue to perform well after they have been deployed into production. First stop, understanding the data that you have. So the first thing you want to do is inventory all of the data that you have and create a data catalog inside your business. This is a really fun activity. You can do brainstorming with your internal stakeholders to take stock of all of the data stores that you have in various places throughout the company, figure out where that data lives, what form it's in, who owns it, and then also classify it to its security risk, which we'll talk about some more in a little bit. Then as a cross-functional team, you can look at all of this data and brainstorm what really valuable insights you could draw from this data if it were all connected. Prioritize those use cases, and then focus on building out your systems for the most valuable data that you have in your data catalog. You will then want to probably undergo some data modernization. All of that data lives in disparate systems. It's in different formats. There'll be lots of ways that you need to clean it up, structure it, and connect it to each other. So some digital transformation, maybe you need to build a data lakehouse or some way to pull that together, some systems integration work you might need to do. Enterprise data management, you'll definitely want to do to make sure that the data is accurate, accessible, consistent, and secure. And then also ensuring the data security and privacy, which I know you guys are doing already, but there are some special considerations when we start talking about AI, especially because a lot of that data used to be locked in silos and secure tools in just one particular organization within the company. And now we might want to unlock that data to share it across. There's certain ways that you'll want to protect that data. And then once you go really down your AI journey, there's also kind of a cultural transformation that has to happen. You'll want executive sponsorship for your products. You'll probably want to introduce a data governance framework, some change management, AI training and skills development inside the organization. There's a lot to be done there. And then the next step is training with high quality relevant data. For this, based on those high value use cases that you've decided you want to implement, you are going to want to clearly articulate those goals. I will say the most valuable AI use cases are usually on the most sensitive data, right? That's data that only your organization has, and you probably want to keep it that way. So identify really clearly the inference that you're trying to make based on this data, what data you need to make that inference, and then also the speed of the data. So how frequently do we need fresh data to make this inference accurately? If you're building a long-term investment model, you might only need fresh data once a year. If you are building a model for a pacemaker or an autonomous vehicle, you might need fresh data constantly, super fast, and there's a huge cost trade-off in that. So consider the speed with which you need the data, identify the data sources, where it lives, who owns it, what shape it's in, determine compliance constraints. As I mentioned before, the most valuable AI use cases are usually on the most sensitive data, and you'll need to find ways to safely and securely unlock that data so that you can build the models that you need to build. There are lots of options for doing that. We'll talk about that later as well. You'll want to do some data preparation and data validation. This is usually where your data scientists come in. They can make sure that all of that data is error-free, it's well-balanced, you don't have a lot of bias or duplicate data. And then you'll also want to monitor that data quality to make sure that it's consistent over time. All right. Next stop, ensuring privacy and consistency in your systems and models. Data classification. So you will probably want to implement some AI risk and security framework at some point. But the first step is data classification. There is some cost to protecting all of your data, and you don't really want to pay to protect data that's public data anyway. So go through your data catalog and classify your data as either public data, which might be news articles, open source software, public domain media, internal data, which is data that's fine for internal employees, but it's not intended for public publishing, geographic information, market research findings, stuff like that. Confidential data, so that might be your revenue details, product design, strategic plans, things that you would restrict to a specific group of individuals. You want to tag that as confidential data. And then restricted data is like your really important trade secrets, proprietary code, product specifications, research and designs, financial records, things that you absolutely would not want to leak through one of your AI models. And then you'll want to secure that data. So authorization and authentication, that's kind of your role-based access control that you're probably doing with most of your stuff anyway. Data governance, so after someone accesses the data, then where does it go? You can do data obfuscation. So if you do need to train a model on sensitive information, you can use techniques like data masking or stochastic transformations, homomorphic encryption. There's a lot of options there for you to unlock that data and do it securely. And then for super critical trade secret type private stuff, you might even want to do your make your AI models on private deployments, just to make sure that those confidential workloads are secure. I have seen recently like news articles where some Samsung's trade secrets are somehow exposed on the OpenAI servers. You don't want that to happen to you. So just make sure that your data is all being handled appropriately according to its classification. And you can also utilize some of these AI risk frameworks. TRISM is Gartner's Trust, Risk, Security, and Management Framework. OWASP is the Open Web Application Security Project, and NIST also has the National Institute of Standards and Technology Risk Management Framework. Those are all good places to start. Take a look at them. Figure out which one fits your organization best. You can also use resources like Meter Attack, which it's basically a repository of all of the different adversary tactics and techniques. They have a great detailed matrix that helps you kind of identify and mitigate potential risks to your AI models. And then the last stop on your data integrity journey is ensuring that your models are robust and performant in production. and that they continue to be that way over time. So some helpful tips for that. You will want to implement continuous monitoring for your models. If there are anomalies in how they are performing, you'll want to address those immediately. You want to catch them and address them immediately. All models need to be retrained regularly. Like we mentioned before, some models get retrained once a year, some models get retrained, very, very frequently. So you'll want to have a plan for how you are going to do that in production. This is a little different than some of our more traditional software development where you can build it, ship it, and it performs the same way forever. Models do not. They typically suffer from things like data drift. They just don't perform the same way over long periods of time because the data that they are making inferences on changes. Feedback loops is like, there are some really good design patterns you can use. If you look at Kentik AI, where we do inference, like we always have a thumbs up, thumbs down button so that you can give us feedback on how the model is working for you. You'll want to build things like that into your product so that you can monitor model performance that way as well. Testing for robustness and security is really important. You'll want to do load testing, things just to make sure that in production, the model performs the way you thought it would when you developed it. That's really important. Also making sure your security measures are in place, you've tested it, there's not any risk there, and building your models in an explainable way. There's a huge body of work around this, but just following best practices to make sure that we know why the model makes the predictions that it makes, how it's working, and we can explain that to business owners and downstream consumers. Also, making sure you are utilizing your governance and compliance frameworks. You're adhering to whatever the modern AI compliance standards are. I think a lot of this is still under development, but there have been regulations published already, and those are continuing to evolve. So keeping tabs on that, making sure that you're compliant, making sure that you document your models and that you're doing version control on those models is very important. It is important to know what you are running in production. The same way you would with any of your other software, these models are specific and they need to be, that data lineage should be tracked over time. You want to know if you encounter something in production, exactly what model it's tied to. And then also just having audits and reviews to kind of build that culture of accountability and collaboration to make sure that things are continuing to work well over time. So that is our data integrity journey end to end. I hope that some of these tips are useful for you. We are always happy to chat with you at Kentik. We make AI easy in our products, so please do go check it out. We can answer any question about your network. We have natural language query. We have AI journeys built into the product. It's pretty cool. You can just check it out at kentik.com/get started. Thanks.
Charlcye, that was great. Thank you very much. That tied a really good bow on this series. And boy, as AI just continues to explode and data continues to explode, these are some thorny problems that organizations are dealing with, and I think the tips that you provided are really going to help a lot of people on that journey. So thanks for that. Also would like to thank all of our viewers for being with us through this series. We always appreciate your time, and we try not to abuse that by making these nice short videos for you. And of course, we would like to thank Kentik, who sponsored this 3-part series. Again, I'd like to remind everybody that all of these episodes are available on the itopstimes.com website in the Learning Center under the Webinars tab. And that's about it. So until next time, I'm Dave Rubenstein, Editor-in-Chief of IT Ops Times. So long for now.